feel so like on the set of like Dr. Phil.
Someone's gonna come at us. A surprise guest.
And here's Mom and Dad.
Oh my gosh. Jeff.
All right,
Scott.
here we go. So back to round two. We thought we would set up a little differently, make sure the screens look a little better. We're going to start this round. Patty had something she wanted to read.
It might take me a minute, but this was a journal entry I wrote in May of 2017. It's called My Family Story. Today I have been thinking about family portrait. In a few weeks I will be getting together with my brothers and sister and their spouses and children and grandchildren. We are going to spend the weekend together at Danny's house in Boise, Idaho. We are hoping to get a family picture done. As I think of this picture, a thought has come to my mind. Oh, what stories we could tell. In some ways, we are a whole lot different than many families, and yet we are alike of many families. Sorry. Every individual in the picture has a story to tell, and we as a whole family have a story to tell. If all of us were to show up, which some of us are missing this weekend, but if we were all here, this would be who would be in the picture. It would be, let's see, Sally, Kim, Fred, Karina, Rodney, and their children, Jeremy, Corey, Kaylee, Eric, Danny, Sharon, Josh, Jasmine, and their children, Jake and Alyssa and their children, Jessica and Nick and their children, Jordan and Taya and their children, Janie, and I think they have a few more children on the way. Then we would have Patty and Ron, Ronnie, Taylor and their children, Braden and Michelle, soon to be married, Janae and Brian, and Kayla. We would have Mick and Michelle. We would have Dave, Michelle and Dave and Ryan, and maybe Dave's kids. We would have Melissa and her Dave, and Jonathan, Madison, and Lincoln. We would have Julie and Anar, and Jesse and his wife and kids, David and Sarah, and Kylie and Chris and their kids. And anyway, counting it up, that would be over 60 people.
Wow.
I think I have everybody. But the sad part is, Mom and Dad are not here to see all of us, and my stepbrother Mike is not here, and Danny's little baby Jenna is not with us. But we know they watch over us from above. This is what our story would kind of be made up of. And I use the we because as a family, it involves all of us. So, here's what our story would look like. We are mothers, fathers, grandparents, and great-grandparents. We are aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews. We are brothers and sisters. We are a combined family. Some of us married, divorced, and married again. Some of us are single, widowed. We are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Some of us are actively participating. Some of us are believers but not practicing, and some are not actual members at all. We have served missions for the Church of Jesus Christ. Others had other plans in life. We are leaders in the church organizations. We are teachers of youth, children, and adults. We are college graduates, high school graduates, elementary and preschoolers. We are stay-at-home moms, corporate businesses, workers, and entrepreneurs. We are athletes, dancers, and musicians. We work in the medical field. We are tattooed, pierced, gauges, tall, dark hair, blonde hair, short, not thin, not so thin. We are introverts and extroverts. We suffer from mental illnesses, eating disorders, and addictions, from drugs, tobacco, alcohol, and pornography. We are gay, we are straight. We have lost jobs, lost hopes, lost faith, lost loved ones. We are funny, we are serious, we are spiritual. We fight and argue and cause hurt feelings, like we express love and say I love you. We forgive and ask for forgiveness. We have suffered heartache and challenges harder than we ever thought possible, and we have risen above it and are stronger because of it. All of these things describe us and could label us by others. It's how the world may see us. But these things don't define us. We are family. Our DNA can prove that some of us share the same genes, and others come from other DNA. And yet we are still family. But even more importantly, we are sons and daughters of a loving Heavenly Father. We are defined as children of God, a God that loves us unconditionally. It doesn't matter our physical appearance, our status in the world, our ups and downs in life. Our Heavenly Father loves us individually and knows us personally. We are a family here on earth, but we came from a much bigger family. I wonder if Heavenly Father looks at all of His children in this life portrait and says, oh, the stories they could tell. That was where I ended.
Wow.
But we
very
do
good.
have lots of individual stories and lots of stories as a family.
Patty, that was awesome.
That was
I would
beautiful,
think most
Patty.
family. I think probably most families can fit into something like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I just, more importantly, that all those things don't label who we are. That family comes most important to all of us. Doesn't matter what decisions we've made, what challenges we've been through. Bottom line is we're still together as a family, and we still have that love and bond with each other, and that's the most important thing to me.
Okay, well, we could wrap it up right now.
That was good.
That was really good, Patty. You need to, I hope that's going to go in some type of a document.
Or like
It's my
a video.
Or, well, that's good enough too. But I want to read it every day. I could watch it every day, I guess.
That's good. So since we took off last, we were just, talking about some of our challenges in life and what was, if you could go back in time, just you can only pick one thing. But if you could go back in time or start life over, is there anything you would change and why? And make it as simple or as complex as you want. We'll go youngest to oldest this time.
Oh, well, we're not supposed to be bringing up this, but. Okay.
Now,
This happy.
Well, no, let me clarify. I'm not looking for, confessions and all that stuff. All we're trying to do is say if there was one thing you could change
Just one thing.
in life that that you and maybe it's something you could control, maybe it's something you couldn't control, but just one thing.
I honestly, from the bottom of my soul, try to do something that I would be able to have more understanding or something for my sister Kim, because I love her so much, and I just wish that there was some way that we were closer. That's the only thing that goes on in my life that I think about. That I wish I could change.
Okay. Patty,
Oh, wait, I'm next in line.
youngest to
One
oldest.
thing I could change. Ooh. Can we go to the next one?
Better grades in college?
Yeah. I hate to say
I know you live a perfect life. Yes,
no,
thank you
I
very
don't
much.
live a perfect life, but I realize my mistakes helped me become who I am.
What were
and
those mistakes?
I don't know.
5
I
years
ditched school. I don't know.
You did?
I did school.
Oops, no confessions.
Scandal.
I don't know.
You stayed pat. Oh God.
I don't know. I would probably be a little more patient with my kids. During the young years when you're a stay-home mom and the house is messy and the kids are on your nerves and they're not doing anything. But even then, I'm not really regretful of that. It was just life. I love them. I love my family. Maybe stay more in contact with my family. I don't.
All right, good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, mine's was when I'm talking in this group is a little different than if I was talking to, my immediate family. But I want so bad for my immediate family to just to love each other, to cling to each other, to support each other. I mean, I would love it if any one of them have a trial in their life, the first people they reach out to is their brothers and sisters. And so my biggest regret is I was really bad at that with you guys. I know that I could have reached out and been a much more loving and supportive brother. I know you guys probably think it was because I was, and maybe to a certain extent, you know, it's true. I mean, that I was a little frustrated or maybe disappointed with some of the direction, and so it was easier for me to just back off and stay away, when that's probably when you would have appreciated more, you know, some kind of outward showing of love and support. But that's probably, when I die, it's probably going to be my biggest regret, is my brothers and sisters probably think I was just not a very good brother.
Well, that's what's good about the now, because
You've been a great
you've
brother.
been a
You've
great
never
brother.
been a bad brother, Danny. You've always been there. You just have a different way of handling things, and that's, I mean, if I had a family with active kids and busy as you are and all that, I can see why I would be easy to kind of surround myself in that world. And that's what, I mean, you and Sharon have built a beautiful family, and we've always known you're there. It's not like you know, just don't ever call me or talk to me, you know. So don't beat up yourself, because what you've done and who you are is what I especially look up to. I mean, I've needed your counsel and I've needed advice, and you've always been there. So don't beat yourself up, because you've been a great brother.
Well, I could have been better.
We all could be better. But
We also knew what you stood for, and that it helped us. We couldn't try to ask you to accept or understand or relate to the situations or maybe the bad choices or something that was going on, because we, you know, you kind of set the foundation of where our roots are, and we knew kind of like who we were talking to. When we needed to talk to you, we needed to be sure we were on a level that was from our upbringing, and that's a good thing, because mom and dad, you know, they taught us right.
Yeah, but you understand that look, I know there's challenges in life. Life just throws you trials. Life just throws you challenges. What's always hard for me is when some of the challenges are self-imposed challenges instead of just challenges of life. I mean, that's, and believe me, I'm just as weak, and I've got my, you know, issues too, and everybody's got problems and challenges, but it's always harder for me when I see them as self-imposed challenges more so than just challenges of life. Anyway.
Yeah,
All right.
You're right. That makes sense.
You know, I don't really have like a lot of regret or wish that things would have been, you know, I will tell you my biggest regret, that if I died, like my biggest regret is that I never had a family. And I think I would have been a great dad.
I do too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
You'll have that opportunity.
well, I've lived my life with a lot of regrets. But I think the one thing I would have done different is, well, honestly, it's hard to say that I would have done it different because of the personality that I am and my makeup. But I looking back, I would have never got divorced from Jeff. I would have never walked away from my kids. I would have never remarried 5 times. I would have just stayed where I was supposed to be and built a better relationship with my mom and dad, which entails a lot. But I've been pretty independent and pretty much on my own, and I've gone through like Danny said, it's the choices I've made. Not that anybody forced me to do anything, and they all counseled me not to. I mean, like I said, Danny and Patty have been my biggest advocates, but I chose to do things because that's just what I was made of. And honestly, I don't know that I could have, if I knew what I knew now and who I am now, sure, I would have done things totally different. I would have learned how to balance money. I would have learned how to, be a better mother. I would have learned to, learn to work through things rather than run from them. But because of that addiction in me, I'm a runner. And so when things got tough, I ran. And when I didn't like it anymore, I ran. And it was frustrating for my family and my parents. It was very frustrating because I just was on a roller coaster all the time. And thankfully now that I'm older, I'm in a much more, I'm in recovery. I'm working to get my temple recommend back. I'm married. Things do work out, but why we all have to go these bizarre journeys. But I think the key that I've learned is to be brutally honest with myself. And that's a big step. When you are brutally honest with yourself and your fellow man, you don't have to regret anything. You don't have to look back. You just make those choices and, set those boundaries, and that's who you become. So I think there's a lot of things, I know there's a lot of things I would have done different, but I can't go back and fix it. So
I know, and I wasn't trying to go back and fix it.
no, I know that. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things I think we all think about that we could have done different. I think that's a human thing.
Sure.
If I could have done it different, but
Well, my hope is that somebody watching this, a great-great-grandchild, whatever, sees that, their ancestors were human, made mistakes, but it seems the common theme, I think, with all of us is just that, if we just could make just a few other choices at some points in our lives, those forks in the road that, you just got to be careful of your choices, maybe is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
But with the beauty of all of that, when we do make choices, we have a way to come back, and that's through our Savior Jesus Christ, and He doesn't let those mistakes and those choices hang on, and we can wash those away.
You can't veer too far, and you can still get back.
Well, and also, I just think that, finally having more self-love is an important thing for each of us, because we don't really know who we are touching every day, because we're all brothers and sisters, and even though we may not have our own offspring, we touch people in lives that you never know what it has done for that person, and it just ripples, the ripple effect. I just remember the day that I watched one of the ends of the Lord of the Rings, or no, the Hobbits or something, one of those movies where there was 3 characters. And at the end of the movie, they were very in tune with Heavenly Father or their spirit or their higher power. However, I was just thinking they were all in tune with God. And at the end of the movie, one left, they said goodbye, and one left with his family, and they went down a journey. And then one stayed at where they were. He just stayed put, and the other one got on a boat and took off on the sail. And they were all led on a different journey, but they were all equally needed and used for their mission in life. And that was just such a... You remember that scene, anybody?
I don't do many Hobbit
It's
shows.
the end of one of those Hobbit shows. But it was really, really good, and it really showed me that, God's got a plan for us all, and it helped me learn to realize that I was the guy on the ship that just took off and just had another place to go, But it wasn't that I was on a bad journey. It was just that He had a calling for me somewhere else. And that's, how I was able to find more acceptance.
And if I can just make a comment about Danny's comment about feeling like he hasn't been there for us. I know that Danny has been blessed financially. He's made a very great life for himself and his family, but he's very generous with that. And I hope he doesn't ever think that we've taken advantage of that, but he has saved us many times in his love and generosity to us, and that's his way of serving and reaching out to us, and we want him to know that all of us have benefited from that, and hope he never thinks that we have ever taken advantage of that, or that we, don't appreciate that, because he has been very generous with the blessings that he's been given financially, and he's extended that to us, and we so much appreciate that.
Well, thank you, but I have to give most of that credit to my wife.
You earn it. She just pays us.
No.
Both, and Sharon is.
No, that's a tough one. I mean, for me, because going back to, is this just a trial? Did you have a job and the business shut down, or did you just make bad choices? That's it's easy for me to depict that when it comes to the finances, because you're just like, man, when things were going good, couldn't you just save a few bucks? So anyway, but obviously money and all that is going to have no meaning whatsoever in the next life. So it's relationships and how those have been built that are going to have any merit. But anyway, we're glad to help when we can, when you really need it.
and look what's happening now. I mean, look, we have a whole future. We've already decided we're going to see each other at least once or twice a year. The years go by faster. I mean, it's a whole new thing, so I'm looking forward to our future together as brothers and sisters.
And just so you know, Sharon's behind the camera.
Yeah, we love Sharon.
Sharon is Danny's wife, and I just think she is my best friend, and we met in college, and it has been a great friendship and relationship, and she is Danny's better half.
Yes.
She's awesome.
Yes, Sharon, you are you're just like anything. And there's lots of extended family out there that are just as close to us that, the Heavenly Father blesses us with.
That's funny that you would say that, because I would say out of everybody that I walked away from being a brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting, because I don't see you as doing that. I see you as having more challenges thrown at you than anybody in the family, and remarkable that you're sitting next to us and that we didn't bury you 25 years ago.
And you're smiling and happy and helping other people too. I mean, you're my hero. You're my idol.
I never felt that, though.
Really?
Mm.
Yeah, that was always one of the things I felt like. I abandoned everybody. I abandoned that brother. So.
Well, at that age, you did. That was hard. I just like, Eric, what are you doing to me, man? But then I realized you had a whole slew of things that you were dealing with that I couldn't imagine nor had to deal with myself.
Yeah, it had to become very selfish at that time to walk away from all of that.
Well,
tough time in life, though. I mean,
it is.
Tough time in just society and the evolution of society. All that certainly played a important part of the whole situation.
Yeah, it's tough because life does have a darkness to it, and it gets you at that age, and you just don't know really what to do. You're just consumed. Sometimes, the light is hard to stay in because you're consumed, because it's part of the plan is to understand what the whole, good and bad choices are. But in the meantime, today we are all showing that we're witnessing a good part of life.
Well, and just for the record, so people know kind of what we're talking about, like, I left home. I ran away from home at 14. I have grown up in a gay culture my whole life. I became a drug addict at 16. I was living on the streets. And my life was pretty reckless. So people know kind of like a little bit, I just had a different gene than the rest of these guys. And, my life was, I don't want to say that it was selfish, but it didn't involve what the rest of my family was involved in. And, it was lonely, it was tough figuring out, the next thing. But, I learned how to be resilient, and I learned how to, be self-supporting and, teach myself how to, I was a kid on the streets. I had to figure out how to survive, and I think that really took me into my life skills, is learning how to be, I went back to school and I became a straight A student, and I think a lot of that had to do with that resilience then, and the one thing that I do know about myself is that I am really resilient and I will bounce back.
So do you think the drugs were the kind of to get out of the real life situation, that the drugs took you away from maybe what you were facing in life?
No, I was telling Patty the other day, I think that the drugs saved my life. Because at that point there was no other place to go, and I would have ended up committing suicide.
Well, so then it did. It took you away from what
you
were
it
dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, I had to find the place that I had to find it
To get away, yeah.
It didn't involve. There's a song that said, you leave home with a little black case, and the love you find and the answers you seek are never going to be found at home. And I had to go find my own answers.
Which comes to, before you were even doing drugs, did you ever see written on the dresser when we were like in Manteca, somebody wrote, "I wish I was dead."
Yeah.
And that was before you did any drugs. I figured that was Eric. So Eric was not happy with the boy. So this was before.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
Did you write that?
I never knew that. Well, I think we're talking to family, whoever you are. But the fact is, we all started out as little babies in our mom and dad's arms and grew up to where we are today. But during that time, we have addictions that ran seriously in our family, and you can't sugarcoat that. I grew up. I was the straight A. I was 100% seminary, 100% young women, 100% church, 100% anything. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I got married in the temple. I had 2 kids, and at that point, I thought I was missing out on life. And I don't know what triggered that, and I don't know why, but I had to go figure it out. And here I had the perfect husband, the perfect little kids, a nice home. My parents lived down the street. I had my family. And I just had to get away. I had to go check it out. I got involved in cocaine. I got involved in alcohol. I worked in a bar for 8 years. I went the whole gamut. And then I remarried to a non-member and had 2 more kids. That lasted 10 years. I started drinking right at the end of that marriage, and we got divorced for other reasons. I was sober. I was still drinking, but I was remarried within a very short period of time to another LDS guy, and I just quit cold turkey. And from that point, after we got divorced, I stayed sober 18 years, living the gospel, doing my thing, active with my family. And in December of 2011, I relapsed. Came out of nowhere. Had nothing to do with church. It had nothing to do with the fact that I was, it just happens. Addictions are real, and they happen. A month later, I got another DUI. I got 2 DUIs within a month of each other. And currently today, I am serving in Las Vegas a court-ordered 3-year program for a 3rd DUI. That should have never happened, but it's the addiction in me. It's and it's scary to say, but the reality of it is Danny and Patty have never dealt with anything like that. And from my perception, they've always been the perfect kids, but they've had issues too. And I know Patty very well, so I know a lot about what's happened with her world, but not the kind of issues I've ever dealt with. Eric's issues were issues that he had to deal with. I don't know why I had to go out and find this journey, but I'm so grateful that I had a testimony, because I can tell you all the addiction down that road it's a dead end. Nobody went to church and said, I came drunk today because I thought it would be fun. Nobody goes out and gets in an accident. Nobody else goes out there and gets DUIs. Nobody else, you don't do that. You think it's going to be fun. You think it's going to be wonderful. You think you're missing out on life, and it's living hell is what it is. So for today, I'm 100% honest with myself. I'm working with a sponsor. I go to church. I have a calling. I am so happy as compared to where I was. And I look at my life, and that's what Danny was referring to when the financial needs were there. And, you know, I would call and say, Danny, I need some money. And the frustration that I could feel in Danny's voice wasn't so much that he didn't want to help, but why? Why are you doing this to yourself? Why, you know, Danny's very, very smart with money. And for the most of us, you know, we've struggled financially. You know, Mike's got some money and he's done well with himself. But for the most part, I've struggled. I don't know how to save money. I didn't learn that when I was a kid. I didn't learn how to deal with credit. All these things that addictions do are real. And so the fact that we're all sitting here today, sober and as a family, is a miracle. You know, it's truly a miracle because any of us could have ended up dead. Any of us could have ended up in a hospital. You know, there's a million things that could have happened, but here we are. You know?
Or, yeah, sad part is, or killing someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't think that Patty and I aren't addictive personalities either. We don't know.
Right.
I mean, the fact
Don't
is,
try.
every one of us have addictions of some sort, and we choose, and a lot of times, we choose that addiction. And I just had this philosophy. I don't know where it came from. I don't remember ever being taught, but I just remember something just said to me, I can never be addicted if I don't try it. And because I know I'm I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict, I'm a whatever. If I give into that and I go and I try that and I get into that world. So, I mean, you just know the best way to never be addicted is to never try.
Dad tried to teach us that. I mean, he did say that if we drink, we'd all be alcoholics. He did try to let us know, you know. He wished later that he would have said that about every drug or every herb in the world because, you know, but he just figured alcohol was going to be our thing because we already had alcoholics in our family. But anyway, he did his best to try to prevent us from it.
So moving on to something else.
I never liked the smell of it, so that kept me away from it.
I won't get in the car with it. So a few years back, well, it's been a long time ago, for Christmas, Dad had read this book. It's called Color My World, or Color of Your Parachute, or something like that. And for Christmas, he got all of us kids this book. And it was all on personalities and how we all interrelate to each other. Because I'm very, so when you take the color test, and it's color code or something like that. Anyway, we all took this test, and it was very fun for us to find out what colors we were and how it made sense for the reason that we were the word. And if I remember, Danny and I are both red, which usually means strong personalities, leaders, and that type of role. White is Patty, and yellow. No, you were white, right?
I was white with strong yellow.
Yeah. Yellows are the party people. They don't care about
As in
much.
fun.
As in fun people. Mike was a yellow, and Eric, I think,
Blue.
you were blue?
Blue.
Yeah. And blues are they're undertone
More
of the red. So, you know, all of us have such strong different personalities, but you can always tell Patty and Mike are the party people. You know, they're the ones that will drop everything to go play. And I don't even know why I'm bringing it up, but it's just something else to think
It's
about
fun.
is how we all, you know, have different.
Eric will analyze everything.
Blues are a little
Blues
more
analytical.
sensitive.
Blues are like, I think that blues tend to be a little more isolative, and I mean, for me, like I've struggled with anxiety and depression and stress, you know, since I can remember, and I think that's a little bit of that blues sort of. I don't want to say moody because I'm not moody.
You're more sensitive and
yeah,
more.
Does the red?
That was a blue.
More isolated.
Blues tend to have more lean toward
Analytical
more
tendencies.
Depression because they hold everything. They're
Yeah.
so sensitive and everything is emotionally.
Same with whites.
Is the red like always right?
Yeah.
Not always.
I mean, even though they're
Yes,
not always
I am.
right, that they believe they're confident in their
We're very
their
Well, they just don't want to. They just don't want to take
Second guess
10
anything.
years to get to an answer. They'd rather just get the answer and move on. Even if it's wrong, let's just move on. But see, I'm not all red. I've got a lot of blue in me too.
You have
and it
everything.
analyzes things sometimes, and it's more expressive too. By the way, blue's very expressive.
you don't have very much yellow, I must say. Even though you have a lot of
No.
fun, your fun is like planned out.
Really?
Well, yeah, because you have to make sure that you have the time, and you have to make sure that you
And
have
how
the
much money it's
finances.
gonna cost.
Yeah.
I do analyze that.
You're not going to just go, you're not going to give up on another person's commitment if it has a job or something. Go out and have some fun with something else.
All of us have all the colors.
Yeah.
You lead with one color, and you might have a secondary color, and you might have little bits of the other color. And so I'm more white than I am yellow. And we're peacemakers. We're kind of chill and kind of keep it down. But with each color, there's strengths and there's weaknesses. And if you take your strengths too far, it actually becomes a weakness.
I like that idea.
So a red can be very strong and confident, but if you overconfident and you get bossy and bullying,
Obnoxious.
that becomes your weakness. And and yellows taking to the extreme that everything has to be fun. You never are serious about anything, and
Yeah.
you won't do anything unless it's fun. Then it.
You also tend to adjust your colors with kids too.
Your colors, they'll change.
Some kids make me go red. Some kids make me go yellow. Some kids make me go white, blue. And sometimes it's not the kid. It could be just the situation too.
It brings out
That's
what
true,
part
because
of your
I've taken-
personality.
Yeah, it's true because I've taken the test at other times in my life, and blue will become more dominant than the red, and it just. But no, red will be really
I think
strong.
that you
because
have a true to your nature
Red's-
bottom line,
yeah.
but.
But Danny, you are more yellow these days. And what is the name of this book so these kids can read it?
It's not.
Well, it
there's
turned
so
out to be
many.
a hoax. So
Oh, no.
Actually, Ron is certified to teach it.
it's
He
all a big
teaches
lie.
it in leadership development classes at businesses
No, that-
and stuff.
You
Yeah,
think Heavenly
they do
Father
it.
views this as true?
they do it in
But
sales
they've done
training
it on-
too.
Yeah, and there are different names for different things. True to your nature. And
Yeah, one
all
was
kinds
a
of things.
coyote and a wolf and
Yeah,
a
your spirit
elephant.
animal.
And, I mean, it's,
But what's the
It's
good part of it?
basically-
What's the best part of being a blue?
well, a blue can be very expressive. Can show love and express their feelings.
They wear their feelings on their shirt sleeves, and sometimes that can
So
be.
red,
Oh, that's definitely here.
red's good.
But the bottom line is, we realize all of us have different personalities, and how we interact with each other is differently, than we just have to know Mike has to go and have fun, or else he won't, and it has to be moving.
I'm trying to be more red. I am 53.
You don't have to be.
You don't have to be a
But see,
color.
that's the thing. You don't
Well, I
have
like to be
anything
experienced what it
different.
would be like to be red before I die.
Why don't you try
We'll make a
white?
decision.
White? Oh, I never really
Then
thought.
make a
Patty,
decision
what's
and stick
white
with it.
more about? Tell us more
I'm the
about white.
peacemaker, remember? I'm the one that had to sit in between all of you guys because you were all fighting.
As long as you didn't take my sheet off.
Danny would
didn't
sit
have-
with the sheet around him, so don't touch me. Mike had a hot stomach. Eric smelled heat. Kim was sitting in the front like she was queen. And Dad said, Patty, can you sit between those two? Patty, can you sit between those two?
Oh, another thing I probably would change real quick. Danny, when we were younger, for some reason, maybe we just didn't. We got along the day after he got home off his mission, or when he got his mission call, is the day I remember going, you know what? I just got to lighten up on my brother Danny. He's a great guy. I love Danny. But I was kind of hard because I was not the jock, so I was trying to find out, But I probably would want to change that too.
You mean when we were kids?
Yeah, when we were kids. Is that
Yeah.
normal, right?
It was, I don't know, you were annoying.
You were the little brother.
Absolutely. That drove me nuts.
Really?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's why we,
Right.
yeah.
Huh. I guess being
And
the youngest had a
it
little
could be
bit to do
age,
with
it
that.
could
It
be,
was,
yeah, I
different
mean,
personalities.
Mom, Dad, he's
I had to
picking
go
on me.
work. I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning, working, digging ditches, building houses, landscaping, and you were dancing or something. I'm like, this doesn't seem to be right. Why do I have to? I mean, if I wanted skis, I had to buy skis. If I wanted a jacket, I had to go buy a jacket. If I wanted a drum set, I had to go buy a drum set. You just got it. So,
Being the baby of the family.
Not that Mike ever wanted it. All Mike ever wanted was to be on a stage.
I have to say, I am grateful that I had a good relationship with each of my siblings individually. I don't think I've ever had a minute in my relationships where I was a strained relationship with. I could be one-on-one with Mike and have a blast. I could be one-on-one with Eric and have a great conversation. I'd be one-on-one with Danny and one-on-one with Kim. And I don't know why I got lucky that way, but I've just never had strained relationships with, I don't know, have I?
no, that's
No,
very
you
true.
haven't.
You always were right there, perfectly
You've been at most
situated.
even.
Perfectly, there, that's the perfect word.
The most
Well-
even.
No,
Not
I'm not
perfect, just
but
even.
Well,
it's
you're
just-
even, yeah.
I
No,
think
where
that's
you
the
would-
weight in me is I was the peacemaker. Like I wanted to be friends with all my siblings. I didn't want.
Yeah, but
to
where
cause
you would
contention.
listen and show love, if they told me the same thing, I would try to tell them why they should have made a better choice, or should now you realize it, now make this choice. And I get accused even sometimes from my boys, especially, that I always try to fix things, that I just don't let people take their course. And I'll tell them right now, and the reason why is because I see where the course goes sometimes, and it's a painful course. And if I can adjust or help or nudge so that you don't have to make those long 10, 20, 30-year mistakes, and that's, I guess, maybe what a dad's supposed to do. But where Patty could sit there and listen to you guys and have empathy and sympathy and love, and she never was judgmental towards you, and then she'd
Well,
come tell
maybe
me how I gotta be a
Take
better
care.
brother.
Take care.
But yeah, Patty, you've been pretty good right in the middle.
Well, I think after
I
Dad
just-
died, I know you kind of took over, I don't mean you took over the dad role, but you took over what's the word I
The
want?
principals.
The parental parent, not the parent, the priesthood role that
You talking about Patty or me?
you.
I didn't take the
Because I-
priesthood.
No, because I think after Dad died, there wasn't anybody else to talk to. There wasn't anybody else to go to.
Well, let me tell you,
Your dad was really good at that.
I will tell you one thing about that. That is, I felt that burden more than you can imagine.
Burden or blessing?
Well, the burden of feeling like no one's here, and what would Dad want me to do? In fact, about, I don't know, a while ago, I was in Pocatello, and I went over to Sally's house, and she was like, "Why are you here?" I mean, that was not, she wasn't being rude or anything. If I could tell, she was like, thanks for dropping in, but it's been 4 or 5 years or whatever that time frame was. And I just said, look, I know what my dad would want me to do, and he'd want me to come, and he'd want our relationships to still grow, because we're still all in this, together. And I felt that, whatever you want to call it, burden, pressure, persuasion, that that Dad's, I don't want to be it. I didn't sign up for it.
Please do, though. We love. I love that you're like that. Because it just, it helps us remember who Mom and Dad really are. But I see Mom and Dad in all of us. I'm the mom that did the road shows, made everybody laugh. And maybe part of Dad too. But I just like to see how all of us have the genes from my mom and dad, and it's all the best part of the best part in us.
I think they would be very proud to see us all sitting here as friends and as siblings and feel the love that we have. And I want you to know that before I left for this vacation, we said a prayer in the car, right? And what did we say? We hope Mom and Dad feel us close by and that we love them and we're grateful for all they taught us. They weren't perfect parents by any means, and they had to deal with a lot of things that they didn't know how to deal with. But I think if we could talk to them now, I think that they would be very proud of the things that we've made of our lives and the way we've become, and the way that we'll continue to go. I think that they would say we're all doing pretty darn good. And as a mom, I'm sure her mom heart is filled with joy to see us all sitting here, because at one point in her life, she probably never thought this moment would ever come, and she didn't live long enough to see it.
No,
And
that's
it's just
true.
a mom heart is different than a dad's heart. And dad saw us more as adults than our mom did. And she never got to see us interact like this as adults. So she loves us, and I know her mom heart is happy.
And you guys, going back to what I was saying last time we sat here, the only way this all gets put together is if we all get on that same path. And it's still not an easy road. There's still a lot of obstacles. But if we, I mean, mom and dad are on the other side, pushing, prodding, hoping, praying, doing everything they can to get us on that path, because that's the only thing that gets us all back safely into ultimately the same place we came from. And the reason we came here is just to get back to that place. So all I can encourage you guys to do is, man, as hard as it is, you got to figure out a way to get on that path.
Because that path, is a path that, we were kind of our upbringing. There's this, I was wondering if, Eric, you would share how you have been connected and been enlightened as far as how your spirituality has grown and your development with how you feel your relationship with dad and mom now, today.
I don't think about it. I think about it when I'm around you guys or I talk to you guys, but it's not something that I sit home and wonder about,
One time I remember you just told me that you felt closer to dad than you ever had because.
Well, before he died, I wanted to know if he was proud of me, because in my eyes, I didn't do anything that would have personally made anybody proud of him,
Pride comes in different forms.
Yeah. But that was, I guess comparing it to what you had done, and, I had no family. I wasn't active in the church. I was a stripper, a junkie, a prison, I couldn't see any part of that would make me proud.
Just in the letters that you've written in school and everything, you speak about your relationship today with how you understand God and stuff, and it's very close. It's very, very
Well,
special.
how I understand God is a completely different thing than how I would have understood the relationship between mom and dad.
That's what I should have said. God then.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So, to you out there watching this, we are real people. We're your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your grandparents. We're real. We're your family. We are directly connected to you.
That's a sad thought. Sorry about that.
So,
But we're awesome people.
but there are two people, well, there's four people that I hope one day I'll see this video, because I'd like to pass on a little message. And that's to Karina and Jeremy, Corey and Kaylee. Those four little spirits are mine. And regardless of the situation that happens between their dads and I just want them to know how much I love them. It's been very, very, very hard knowing that I have two children that I didn't even get a chance to raise, that I walked away from. And I've never denied that I'm your mom. I know things were different for you, but I just want you to know I never ever stopped telling people I had 4 children. because you are mine. I gave you birth and I love you with all my heart. And all those grandkids, I snag every picture I can get on Facebook. I'm proud of the people that you've become. I feel bad for Jeremy because Jeremy probably got the least of me because he was so young when I left. But I'm proud of you and I'm proud of their talents. My little Corey and Kaylee, these are all adults now, but they've found their own way in their own life, and we've managed to keep a pretty close relationship. But I just want them to know that this family, their aunts and uncles, love you all. They ask about you. They're proud of you, and sometimes they've kept themselves, Corey and Kaylee especially, have kept themselves away from family meetings like this because they weren't raised in the church and they weren't raised by me, even though I have a good relationship with them, but they've never felt a part of a family. They don't know what it's really like to be a part of a big family. And if they ever hear this, I want them to know this is your family and it's big. And it's a loving family and a very forgiving family, and all your cousins and your second cousins, your aunts and uncles and aunt, love you madly. They've always been here for you, and they always will be. And I just want to pass that along because I may never have a chance to tell you that, and I don't know if Danny can, separate that part out and send it to them or whatever. I just want you to know that I love you. It's been a hard road for me. It's been really hard, especially watching my sister and my brother with their families and knowing that I could have had all that with me. I could have had it all. And those are some of the choices I made. But I love you forever.
And I'll tell you, that's been hard on us too, because as the aunts and uncles, Karina, when you were born, man, I told my wife I told Sharon, I said, I don't know if I can love my kids as much as I love Karina and Jeremy. And I was actually nervous about it, wondering if when I have kids, am I going to love them as much? And, it broke my heart personally when you guys moved away and we saw you very little. And then when Corey and Kaylee came into the scene, it was great to see him every once in a while, but we never got to really develop that good, uncle kind of aunt relationship that we always hoped for. And I miss that. I wish we could have had that. My weakness is not reaching out, just like I've said about my brothers and sisters, but I'll see pictures or I'll see on Facebook or something, and I still want to reach out. I know I'm your favorite uncle, so it's just too bad we don't get to see each other more. But your mom's right. We love you. You are part of this family, and we're grateful for that. And we're going to make up for lost time one day, whether this life or the next, and realize that we all had a great bond, and it'll continue forever.
One thing I wanted just to say real quick is that, who knows how the energy is, but what I do want to let Kim know is that she is amazing. I'm so proud of her because she's been the oldest. She's had to have a lot of trials that she didn't have an older brother and sister to experience what the outcome would be or even to talk to, because she needed to be there and be the strong one. And I just am so proud of where she's at today, because she could have just decided not to even care and be in jail or whatever. There's just a lot of different choices. So where she's at today, growing and being happy, is just really makes me feel so happy inside. I'm so proud of her.
And can I just relay a message to Karina and Jeremy and Corey and Kaylee? I had a blast being the fun aunt and always having sleepovers, and I hope that I loved times when I got to kind of take care of Corey and Kaylee when they were living in Utah with Kim sometimes during the summer, and the days that we spent, and Karina and Jeremy at a young age. But I just have to do a shout out to the parents that did raise you. I see you on Facebook. You are amazing kids and you're doing great. yes, we have had to step out of that circle a little bit out of respect for that, but your moms and dads have done a great job with you guys, and you're doing all right, and we appreciate. And yes, DNA is family, but your family consisted of a whole lot of other people too. And anyway, you know that I love you.
There's a reason why you're here with our family.
But we do like the DNA. We're all Cherokee.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Funny story? Okay.
All right.
Lighthearted stuff. We are fun.
We are. Yeah.
We're not always crying and emotional and sharing, but it's been very therapeutic, I think, for all of us to kind of share some raw feelings with each other. But
So when Danny was little,
uh-oh.
when we lived on Cloverdale,
All right, Eric.
what do you think I was going to say?
I have no idea.
Yeah, and
So-
Cloverdale.
So Danny was always one to live an adventurous life, and while Patty and all of us were off doing our own thing, and Danny was in the dirt and running around, and so Danny would come in with this cape around him, and he'd come in and he'd yell at my mom, or not talk to my mom, and says, "Has anyone seen Tarzan?" And the next thing we know, he'd be jumping on the couch as Tarzan, running through the house. Don't you remember that?
That was your yellow days.
Yeah, but it was when we had the swimming pool, and I got on the roof, and I'd see an alligator in the water, and I'd jump off the roof
Adventurous.
and fight the alligator.
Yeah, this was on Sylvan, and it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It was on Cloverdale.
Well,
We
that's
were
when we
really
had a
little.
pool, though. I pretty much did it till I left on my mission.
Sharon finds him running around the house. Have you seen Tarzan?
Cloverdale, we were like all, we
Little,
were
little.
4 of us and 5 of us in one bedroom.
Cloverdale's where
How
Eric.
did we have a swimming pool at that
We
point?
did.
No.
That's what I'm
He's
saying.
talking about
I
Sylvan.
played it a
doing
lot
it.
later in life.
Oh.
Cloverdale is where
had-
Insulin is where Eric knocked me out on the front porch or in the front driveway, and let me go, and I just slammed my head right into the concrete.
Why?
You just said, "Hey, I can show you how to pass out," and I said, "How?" You go, and then you just grabbed me. I passed out, and then you let me go. I just crashed my head into the concrete and had a headache and a concussion for
Wow.
days later.
I don't think we've mentioned, but we lived in Modesto, California most of our growing up years.
And in a lot of
Antigua for-
houses.
Yeah,
A lot
and
of
so we
houses.
different
We
houses.
moved every year to save someone else from something.
Yeah, and Danny was originator of Circus Soleil because I remember on Sundays, that was the only time he'd ever asked to play with me. He'd go, "Can we do muscle?" And I was like, "Muscle?" It's like when he would get on the ground and I'd have to hold up and I would balance him and we'd probably just do a handstand or something. But do you remember that? And then you would like push me up.
I could lift you pretty high.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, our parents moved a lot. So I started out with Dad and Mom in a peach orchard. So when I was really little, we lived in the Amarine Peach Orchard on McHenry in Modesto, California. And that was after Mom and Dad had come back from the Navy, and Dad worked in the peach orchard. And then
Really?
Eric was born in Japan. So I guess it was Eric and I that lived out there. And then when Mom got pregnant with Danny, we moved to Cloverdale. And Danny was born there, Patty was born there, and Mike was born there.
I thought Mick was born on Heidi.
No, I was on Cloverdale.
That was on Cloverdale. Then we moved to a place on Heidi.
No, we moved to Woodrow.
Yeah, that's Heidi.
No.
Oh,
yeah,
we went to
yeah,
Woodrow
Heidi
School.
was
Woodrow High, yeah, Woodrow Elementary.
Then
That's
when
a
I was
password.
in 5th grade, we moved to Idaho.
No.
I was starting 6th grade when we moved to
Yeah, and I was in
Pocatello.
first grade. Yeah.
So we
Idaho, I did 3rd and 4th grade.
Yeah,
I
I
did
did.
fourth and fifth.
I did 6th and 7th.
I did
went
first
to
and
Irving.
second.
I went to Irving, Emerson and Irving. Then we moved back to Modesto, and we lived on Insulin. Then we moved 2 times while we were in Pocatello. So we went to 2 different
Hayes
houses.
and Johnson.
Hayes and Johnson. Then we moved back to Modesto, and we lived on Insulin, and then we moved out to
Manteca?
Manteca.
Manteca,
I did Manteca 6th and 7th grade.
and
I
I did
did.
9th and 10th.
I did 7th and 8th.
And then we
barely.
moved back to Modesto
Yeah.
out to Sylvan Road, which had the swimming pool and
That was the
everything.
best house.
That was the
ever.
best
was
house.
the
Mom
best house.
cried. It was $60,000. I remember. This is my dream home.
It's a dive now.
I know.
We went by it a few months ago.
Yeah.
So where I finished my senior year there. And then from there, I've been all over the place and moved 100,000 times.
But then after Sylvan, we went to Northampton.
Then we were like
and
in
then
this,
Dragoo.
we were in the rich area.
Then we were in Dragoo, and then they sold the house thinking Mom and Dad were going to move to Pocatello. But then that's when Mom got cancer, and Dad said, okay, we'll stay here. And then we rented?
They sold the house.
They-
and
They went
had-
to a duplex.
They moved into a condo
So, a
just
little
until
duplex.
Mom passed away.
You were on your mission.
Yeah, I was on my mission, and I came home as the day they were moving into the.
Which, by the way, the Sessions just gave to Mom and Dad because of the situation, right?
You
So
mean to
it-
use?
Yeah, to use.
They didn't make them.
So we
pay.
ended up
Yeah.
staying in that little condo, and then Mom died, and we buried her in California, and then we all took off to Idaho.
Well, you.
Well,
Me
we-
and Dad. Me and Dad and Danny and Sharon. Danny and Sharon were married, but they moved to Idaho so Danny could work with Dad. Is that right?
Pretty much
So then we moved to Pocatello. And
brutal year.
then that's when Dad met Sally, and they made their life there. And we all
I
kind of
never lived at Dragoo.
Yeah. Oh no, you were on Northampton.
But it's all going to be written in a book called Dance City, and it's from Modesto. So it's all going to be smart.
Dance City?
Yeah.
Oh, Mike must be titling the book.
Are you writing it?
Mom and Dad were dancers, and
Mom was not a dancer by any means.
Mom was more like me. We tried, but didn't really.
Maybe Mike will retract.
Mike
that
is
comment.
let's talk about Mike. Mike is a professional dancer, and he left home at 16, and was dancing in Las Vegas, and has been dancing
Illegally.
in shows all the rest of his life, and now he's a choreographer for many shows, and his life is all about shows and dancing and the limelight, and he's danced with Michael Jackson, who maybe years from now when nobody knows who he is, he is a legendary
always be.
singer.
He'll always be a legend.
Diana Ross, the
Diana
Pointer
Ross
Sisters.
was big, so he's danced with some big name people, and he's choreographed for Disney. He did some Disney parades in Disneyland, and did some showboat shows, and did a couple of movies, and so he's
But-
made a name for himself. He's done great.
But that doesn't really matter because my biggest credit to me, and the one I promise you I'm not lying, is that I was choreographing for the church when I was in Riggs College, and I was there. And then when I choreographed for BYU, and even when I went to Nauvoo to teach the missionaries a routine, using my gifts in the church rate a million times higher than anything I ever did in the social world, because that's where my gifts came from. But anyway, and it's the best place to be is using your talents that are in an area where it's spiritual.
One of the people who taught us in Modesto all the dancing that my dad made us do, or didn't make you guys, made me. Lee and Linda Wakefield, they ended up going to BYU. They've ran that program at BYU for probably 40 or
bottom
50
team.
years.
But what
They've
was
been
interesting
undefeated for
about
20
that is
years.
that Dad taught Lee.
Yeah, Dad taught Lee.
That's why I called it Dance City.
Dance was very much part of all of our lives when we were younger, but we went through that in the video before.
Or we can call it the road shows.
Or we could just call it the
Dan-
Thompson family.
Or we could just call it phase 1 of this video.
Yeah. Well, anybody have any last things they want to say? I mean, this
Life is good.
Life is
Hopeful.
good. Live in the now and be happy.
I just want, it's been a long time since I've been home with everybody, and it takes me a little bit to relax because I have to figure out like where I fit in to the whole big picture and like what I can say, who knows what, and it's a little bit uncomfortable. Like, am I supposed to say this in front of the kids, or so I kind of just stay quiet and out of the way. I get more comfortable when people start asking me questions because then it kind of opens the door. So it's been kind of, it's been kind of nice because I don't think a lot of your family knows anything about me. Like,
Oh, they know. a
well,
lot
I
about you.
mean,
Not your own personal
Right.
story, but they
Right.
certainly, yeah, sure.
But it was really interesting because Taya and Alyssa,
They're all interested.
they all stood out there
That's-
asking him questions the other day, and it was good for him.
No, they
because-
want me to have a conversation where you can,
We have a
They-
very
they're
loving
interesting.
family. There's not one of the kids or any of our nieces and nephews that look at us like there's a strange uncle or.
My
well, my
kids
point
adore it.
being is that I was very grateful that I came home and felt a lot better.
Good. Then
can do
it was
more
worthwhile.
often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah.
We hope to have more reunions together. Maybe 2 on 2, or 4 on 4, or 5 on 10.
And if
All
things
of
are
us
just the
together,
same
that's
way they
fine.
are, it's still beautiful. Nothing needs to change. I love everybody unconditionally, and I'm just glad to be here too.
Well, hopefully we'll all be financially better than now.
Yeah, financially,
Thank you.
Doesn't have to do with it.
Oh, it's been great. Glad to have you guys all at our
group
home.
hug.
And do you want to sing another song?
Oh, Danny. No, but group
I
hug.
want to sing one that we know.
Do you want to sing
All right.
a solo?
Thank you. See ya.